everyone. My name is Dr. Berry Hammer. I'm the president of the Board of Education, and I want to welcome you to our first meeting for the year 2024. I also want to thank my colleagues and board members and administrators for being here today. And today we're going to start our new meeting. So, we're going to first start with a statement of adequate notice. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. On January 20, 2024, notice was sent to the Home News Tribune, the Pinto, Star Ledger, Union County Local Source, and the clerk of the municipality. By state law, there is no smoking permitted in this building at any time. In addition to the listing items in this agenda, this Board of Education may discuss and act upon other items not specifically referred to herein, as is allowed at a regularly scheduled monthly meeting under the Sunshine Law. Roll call.
Ms. Carrillo.
Present.
Ms. Cintron. Mr. Dela Cruz. Here. Ms. Pino.
Present.
Ms. Rosada Quesada. Ms. Thomas.
Present.
Ms. Ulisse.
Present.
Ms. Armstead.
Present.
And Dr. Bergman.
Present. Our next agenda item would be approval of the minutes. All right, so at this time I'm going to have my colleague, Assistant Vice President of the Board, to take over our board meeting.
Sure. At this time, we will ask for comments from the public, agenda items only. Members of the public desiring to make a public comment may come forward at this time. For those watching online, if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature on the online meeting platform. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address. Individuals are invited to speak on one topic at a time, and no individual will speak more than once until all items so desired have spoken once. The public is reminded that to ensure the efficient and orderly operations of the meeting, members of the public will be limited to speaking on agenda items for 3 minutes. If any more member in the public would like to come up, please add your name to the sheet at the podium. Anyone online? Now we'll move on to the superintendent.
Good evening. On Thursday, the superintendent's report will include our student liaison from Linden High School, Mrs. Zori Rainey. She has some celebratory information to share and also to bring the board up to speed on how the Yonder Pouches are doing at Linden High School. Also, during the superintendent's report, we will acknowledge Black History Month is coming up, and to just showcase the upcoming events that are taking place as well as in the city. And then also we will be having the budget presentation by our business administrator.
Thank you. At this time, we will move on to our year report. I can go over the education.
Good evening. The Education Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Assistant Superintendents, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Items 1 through 5 are special needs services, their evaluations, one-on-one paras, adjustment to tuition, page 5 through 7. Item 6 on page 7 is amendments to prior board education reports. And this is for costs, dates and times of different events and account numbers. Item 7 is to approve district field trips in the hands of the board members. Number 8 is to grant permission for the use of facilities for school activities. As the superintendent mentioned, we have Black History assemblies on here. We have performances. We also have CTE open house. That'll be on February 20th. And that's page 8 through 10. Item 9 is for activities outside the district, such as the senior prom and 8th grade dinner games. Item 10 is for approval of presenters coming into the district and providing professional development for our staff. Item 11 is district training, and item 11 goes from page 11 to page 18. Item number 12 is for the charter school enrollments to approve the enrollment, the costs. Item 13 is to approve Patterson Public School, the McKinney-Vento students cost. Item 14 is for non-resident tuition. And items 15, 16, and 17 are all Title I virtual and after-school tutoring programs for schools 4 and 2. Item 18 is to grant approval for the amendment to the 21st century application to submit those. Number 19 is to create an NJSLA enrichment program at McManus Middle School using Title I funds. Number 20 is to approve a contract with Vasquez Educational Services. This is for training for teachers in the district, multilingual teachers, in conjunction with our literacy program, Collaborative Classroom. Number 21 is to approve the biannual summation report of the HIV under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act for all of Linden Public Schools. 22 is to approve the superintendent's determination and actions taken for all reports, incidents on harassment, intimidation, bullying, as discussed on the December 14th, 2023 regular meeting. And lastly, we have a proclamation for February recognizing Black History Month.
Thank you. Are there any questions? For number 6, item 3, 5, 7, there are just changes in the rates. Can you explain that, as well as the amend tuition cost from $71,890 to $4,095?
So the amended tuition is basically when the other school districts do their audits, they turn around and they say that there was a difference in cost, and they submit those after their audits are done. So it's to encumber those funds. So that's the one you had mentioned, a different item.
I just want to know why the change in the 71,000 and then also the 6,000 instead of the 4,100 on the third one. Was that the original quote that they gave us, and then the audit showed that that's, they only needed to pay 4,000?
Yes.
So number
So the cost in, are you saying the third from the bottom?
No, from the top. Amend the amount for the Research Institute for Learning and Developmental Execution Functions workshops to read $6,060 instead of $3,100.
Yes, that was a different adjustment in price from what was submitted originally. I would have to,
So we're receiving quotes and approving estimates, and then they're coming back to us with updated estimates, actual costs.
So I am, to go back to that 71,000, I'm just trying to get the exact cost. This goes back to the out-of-district placement that was presented to us from the special education department. So it does state that the annual tuition is 71,000 for students, and it's 455 per diem. However, after the audit was conducted, and I will confirm more, I need to look into this more, but it seems that's where the discrepancy is. Give me a chance to look, to clarify, and I will email everyone.
That's a very, very good catch. That's a very good catch. The question is the student still in school?
I believe it's for a student that actually moved out of the district, that transferred to another program, which would
That's what I
explain the
thought.
gross discrepancy in the tuition costs.
So then the student no longer is a student here?
They're attending a different program.
I don't understand.
Uh,
Do they still live in Linden, or have they moved out of Linden and started a new program? The way I look at this here is that the students started school for a tuition of 71,000, and for some reason the parents changed schools. So we will only charge that amount of money, because the student is no longer being charged by the school and moved to another district. Is that it?
I believe it's for a student that we are still fiscally responsible for, but the student is attending a program that doesn't have a cost associated with it.
Would you just let us know, please?
Of course.
71 to 4.
I can let you know during closed session.
Yeah, that's an amazing catch from 71 to 4,000.
My last question was for number 12, to approve the charter of enrollment on page 18. Have students already transferred, or is it just, yeah? Are they gone already?
so number 12 is the students that are currently at the charter schools that were responsible for their tuition.
If I may, I want somebody to explain to me more about the special education launching. I see we have here that we're going to be launching our special education, Special Olympics. Could somebody explain to the board more about the Special Olympics launching, the special education program?
So if the items are approved, then on Saturday, there's going to be a kickoff celebration with all of the Special Olympic students for the elementary school, at school 2. Mr. Firestone has been working with the school administration to plan the whole event. Parents have been contacted in order for them to come in for that kickoff event.
How long is it going to be for?
So it's going to be, there's going to be activities that they're going to do with the children, but it's also for a meet and greet for the parents to get the coaches and the administration of the school to get a better understanding of the program and the different activities that are going to be offered throughout the year.
At this moment, how many programs are we, I know that there's a lot of programs, but do you, or and how many programs we are kicking off this Special Olympics with?
So we're kicking off one event
Yes.
for the sports. There's going to be different sports during the different seasons that are going to happen. So they're going to be kicking off with one of the winter sports.
And the last question regarding Special Olympics, I I know several months ago, we were only given grants for $1,600 for Special Olympics. Mr. Salpini,
Yes.
is there any other source of funding that we could look for grants to help really build our Special Olympics program?
I'm sure there are for this year though, because we're not going to be able to get them in time. We're going to be utilizing local funds, but as you'll see, we actually have something on the agenda later under finance with it as a grant portal which we can utilize to search for such grants.
So you said on finance we could have the district has partnered with a grant company that will be out there looking for grants for different programs we want.
Well, they're going to be providing us a portal to, basically group all the grants that are available to school districts together so that rather than going to various websites, it'll be one portal that will be searchable for various people that live in, that will designate as, people that be researching grants, and for Special Olympics, we could certainly do a search to see if there's grants available or additional grants available for it.
Are we writing those grants or the company that is using the portal are the ones going to be writing the grants?
I think we're going to do it on a case-by-case basis. If the individuals, and I'm assuming, I would have access, for instance. If I was able to write the grants myself, I certainly would do it. If not, the company does provide assistance at $150 per hour.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Are there any other questions on the education report?
Yes, on item 19, the NJSLA enrichment program. Can you tell me what that was?
So the NJSLA is the state assessment. So what the school is going to be doing is providing supports for mathematics and ELA and science, which are the state assessments.
And that would be during school hours or like after school?
Yeah, that would be after school hours using Title I.
I have a question. Could someone explain to me what is sheltered instructions?
Sheltered instruction is,
Sorry, it's a page 11, item 10.
so sheltered instruction is training for our multilingual teachers. It basically, it's sheltered instruction it's training that general ed teachers receive in order to deliver services for multilingual students. So think of it in terms of toolkit that teachers will receive resources in order to better plan and deliver lessons for multilingual students that are sitting in front of them.
Okay, so we have our multilingual language learners who are in the classroom. Teachers are going to be provided with sheltered instruction, which is instructional strategies and techniques to help them with being able to communicate and teach the students. For example, there will be visual aids, there may be other ways to model how to communicate information, vocabulary words, graphic organizers. So the sheltered instruction training provides our regular education teachers with those strategies to carry it out.
And I have one last question. I know that in February, we are going to be getting off our assessment for the year, right? One of our testing, access testing, we're going to be doing that in February. I need to know, I believe this, everybody at this board wants to know, what type of program, what type of additional services you have, what type of after-school programs that you have in place that help prepare our students for the access testing?
So part of the high impact grant that we have is tailored to students who have special needs, general ed students, and also multilingual students. So all of those programs that we have in place are geared towards servicing all the students. So our multilingual students are receiving those tutoring services.
There's different types of students. Special ed students learn differently than mainstream students. How do you bridge the two so that every class of students will benefit from the training?
So we have the certified teachers for those areas are the ones who are going to be delivering that instruction. So if you're a multilingual teacher, you're the one that's doing the high impact tutoring to move those students. If you're a special needs teacher, you're the one who's also going to be working with special needs students to move them along.
Do you guys have any thoughts? Because we're preparing for this exam and we want our test scores to go up. Anybody else have any thoughts or ideas or whatever? Because for our testing, this is going to occur in February.
So the testing cycle begins in February and it's going to go through March. And also for the access testing, the best way to meet the needs of those students is the daily instruction that they receive in the classrooms. The high impact grant is tailored for grades 4, 3, 4, 5, and that will help with those grade levels. But I just wanted everyone to know that access goes all the way through 12th grade, and so it's the bilingual programs that we have in place already where it's differentiated. It goes back to that sheltered instruction. It goes back to, we also have different learning paths through Adventum that helps students with exposing them to content information.
Mr. Sarapini, we recently got a grant for, I think it was over $300,000.
Yes.
Is that money from that grant, could it part of it be used in order to assist with the training? Is that for something completely different?
Just for tutoring.
It's just, yeah, but can't it be also for tutoring to prepare students for this exam?
Well, we are, but with the high impact tutoring grant, it was specifically for elementary level.
In regards to the state test, are the schools aware, grades 3 to 12, are they aware of the dates of the upcoming state test?
Yes, we have a testing calendar that we put together in September and we provided to all employees. We also have our instructional leadership teams that's at every school level where they look at the last year's data and they are creating interventions in the school-wide to assist with monitoring student growth. So everybody knows that for the access testing is always in the midwinter into the spring, and then right after access testing, we go right into NJSLA. That begins May 1st. So yeah.
Can we start pushing those out to parents? I don't think that parents are aware of that. There are also tests that will be online versus on paper.
All of our assessments are online.
So how does that work for students who aren't so great at taking tests online? What happens if there is any technical difficulties? There have been times where I use the iPad and I knew the answer was correct, but it told me it was wrong, or then it was this whole thing. How does that work? What does that look like for the students?
So I think it looks like on a daily basis, because we're a one-to-one district, where they already have the tool, they are exposed to all of assessments online. And so when we go into specifically for standardized testing, it's a different program that we don't have access to, but our technology technicians are in the schools. Like we have training prior to the testing. We provide students with simulations of the testing environment, but as far as technology glitches, we have that covered. As far as how they need to navigate through the website or the testing site, I should say, they're exposed to it now through different platforms. But it's still the same. You'll have to read a passage, multiple choice questions, compute different mathematical terms. So they are exposed to online learning and assessments throughout the school year.
And for our elementary schoolers, will there be teachers in the classrooms to help them through the test if so?
They have to. The tester environment is secure. There has to be a test coordinator in there as well as a proctor, because there's also, again, security. We have to, it's different layers of security with the testing environment. For example, just like if you walk into a classroom today in elementary or anywhere, you may see learning materials on the wall, a word wall, or resources of how to complete a task. But during testing, all of that has to come down. So there are strict parameters as a district. We all have to go through training, administrators, teachers, to ensure that we're following the protocol. But then the ultimate goal is what we want students to do is feel comfortable in an environment and not to worry because it's a standardized test. But more importantly, it's just that we want them to perform on the tool that's provided to them, to be the best. And we tell parents to make sure they get a good night's sleep. We ask that Pontonia provides free breakfast for everybody. So a lot of strategies we try and put in place where students are comfortable first before they have to worry about, time tests. We also do time environments ahead of time too, because yes, the tests are timed, so they need to become familiar with it. So we're as proactive as possible to expose students to standardized testing. Because we also have benchmark testing that goes on throughout the year too. 3 times a year, students are in a simulated environment where they have to take time tests. They have to do it online. So this isn't the first exposure, just a different platform because it's standardized testing through the Pearson site, but just not utilizing a tool for testing.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah, temperature check. Based on where we are, I want to know, how does it look from your opinion, We have a test coming up, right? And we want to hopefully to know that our students have improved. Give me a temperature check. What do you guys think?
A temperature check, I believe that we are hotter than we were. NJSLA is, our standardized testing for students in grades 3 through 8. And it's an important assessment to see how students are doing with meeting the standards, New Jersey state standards. Did we implement new programming this year to assist with strategies of increasing student test scores? Yes. Our instructional leadership teams, we didn't have that in previous years. We took a pause from COVID, and that's a key piece because we're able to look at the data as a team and see areas of improvement. For example, we learned that fractions in the elementary area is an area that needed improvement. So time is being spent in all schools with exposing students to the strategies of fractions. We look in reading and we see reading comprehension and see where the strengths were, the weaknesses were. And this team is now having faculty meetings, professional development is taking place. We're doing internal walks. Administrators are now going, we go once a month, we go into the schools. We look at the lessons, the learning objectives. We're talking to teachers, we're talking to students. So I think those strategies we have now, the high impact tutoring grant. We have our professional learning communities. We have a new curriculum. I do believe that we're going to be boiling sooner than later in regards to the temperature check. And so we do forecast and believe and hope that the test scores are going to show an increase. And we're also looking at interventions of other areas that we can improve on, such as scheduling and what that looks like for instruction. Do we need to increase instruction in language arts and math to ensure that there's more time on those key core areas? So on the middle school level, so we're working at it.
Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the District Administrator, will be presenting the following motions to the Linden Board of Education. Resolutions 1 through 5 are our typical monthly resolutions for Board Secretary and Treasurer's reports, for paying salaries, for paying the bills list, transfers, and for approving the student activities report for the month of December. Resolution number 6 is looking to amend the award of the unit ventilator replacement at school number 4. There was an addition that was done incorrectly. We had initially approved it at $1,337,000. It needed to be at $1,343,000. Resolutions 7 through 13 are donations or accepting funds or accepting donations of equipment. We have 250 personal hygiene kits from the Omega Psi Omega chapter Alpha sorority for School 4. We have $500 from Groundwork Elizabeth for the Union County Kids Digging Grant. We have $25 coming from the Black Dog Giving Fund for school number 4 PBSIS. $600 from the Black Dog Giving Fund for the school 6 PTA. We have Kathy Palazzo. Resolution 11 is accepting funds in the amount of $200 from the Board of Education Vocational Schools in the County of Monmouth for the NJROTC. It was also matched by $200 from the City County Tech, again for NJROTC activities. And finally, accepting funds in the amount of $25,413.60 from Snap Mobile to support the NJROTC. Resolutions 14, 15, and 16 relate to the ROD grant, which is for work that we are doing at the district. Now these were the total amounts as submitted by the architect as estimates on what those costs would be. You'll see later on that we actually are looking to award the roof bid, and the price came in significantly less than what's listed here. But the amounts that the state share have been adjusted, they represent 40% of the total cost of the project. So 14 is for the roof restoration at the last building. 15 is for the roof replacement and restoration at the Seoul Middle School. And 16 is for unit ventilator upgrades for school number 10. The next page, resolution 17, is approving the proposal from Tap Into Linden. This would be for Bullseye ad with content marketing. Cost of $500 per month beginning in February and extending through the 23-24 school year. The Bullseye ad with content marketing will include things like weekly messages, highlights upcoming events, students of the month, and things like that. Resolution 18 is looking to purchase 13 laptops as part of the district's visitor management system from the vendor that installed the visitor management system for the district. Resolution 19 is looking to purchase and install blackout shades for school number 4. These were additional shades that were needed for school number 4. Resolution number 20 is looking to purchase and install a camera on the corner of Ainsworth Street and St. George Ave at the high school. This would be to be monitoring really incidents that we've been having off-school property at the high school. Resolution 21 is approving the installation of carpeting at 3 offices at the high school and academy buildings. Resolution 22 is looking to install galvanized gates and posts at school number 10. This is again for security reasons. Resolutions 23 and 25 are sort of tied together. We went out for an RFP for remedial services for an underground storage tank. The district used to have a tank under the ground at school number 2. I believe it was removed sometime in the 90s. However, there's still contamination of the ground, which needs to be remediated. We went out to RFP. to sort of oversee the project as well as submit the paperwork to the state of New Jersey, which is what Resolution 25 is. 10 New Jersey, which has worked for the district previously. Resolution 24 is what I was speaking about before in regards to grants. We reached out, we worked, had a proposal from Millennium Strategies to basically provide us a grant research portal, as well as project support services for the local board of education. Access to the portal will be $3,900 annually, which obviously will be prorated for the remainder of the 23-24 school year. In addition, if we did need project support, assistance with writing the grant, they would charge $150 per hour. On speaking with them, they would, it wouldn't just be an ongoing rate at the beginning of the grant process, which we said they would help with a specific grant. They would give us an estimated number of hours of time that this work would require, and they would not exceed that time frame, or so they would exceed the amount that they would propose on the individual grants. Resolution 26, as part of our 23-24 budget, we had in there to do a window replacement at School 6 for the gymnasium and the auditorium. Actually, that's our gymnasium and cafeteria, replacing the window there. This is to allow the architect to amend our district's long-range facility plan with all work, all capital projects that are being done need to be part of the district's long-range facility plan. Resolution 27 is authorizing my office to submit the Secretary and Treasurer report that we're looking to approve to the Executive County Superintendent of Schools as it's required to be done each year. Resolution 28 is approving the disposal of air purifiers. These were the first round of air purifiers the district received at the beginning of COVID, the 2020 year. We have since received air purifiers last year, actually, updated ones. We currently do not have a need for these air purifiers, the older air purifiers throughout the district, so we're looking at disposing of them. We will be looking at potentially posting them on a government's website to sell them so the district can receive some money for them, some of the costs that the district allocated for. Resolution 29 is looking for a approval of the partial roof replacement at various schools to VMG. It is at a total cost of $1,730,000. The base bid amount includes doing the Seoul Middle School, the McManus Middle School, and the portion of the last building. The alternate number one is $230,000, which is to do the partial roof replacement at school number 1. Resolution 30 is looking to do a award a bid for the unit vent replacement at school number 8. This was a base bid of $1.278 million and an alternate of $207,000. This would be paid for out of our ESSER refunded. Resolution 31, we had additional work that was being done as part of the emergency notification system installation. That's being done through Eastern Datacom. The additional work totaled $18,184. And finally, and we don't have these numbers just yet, but we will have them for Thursday. There is a bid out for athletic supplies for spring sports. They are currently reviewing the bids right now, but we should have information in regards to work for that. Some of the other items that I wanted to go over with the board. We are currently, our security, which the board approved in December, has recruited all of the people that are needed to start. However, the holdup is the clearance of the fingerprints. We've had 4 of the employees clear, but they're, the rest of them are kind of in the queue. So we have, just want to let the board know that there is an intention to partner in the 24-25 school year with additional pre-K programs as we continue to expand our pre-K offerings. We're looking at partnering with Building Blocks Daycare as well as Albi's Education Never Ending programs, both of them that reside in Linden. The board had, board president had requested looking into doing a board retreat. So I reached out to school boards. They have 2 dates in March on a Saturday available, March 9th and March 23rd. So if board members could let me know which dates work for them, I could look to book that with them. The audit is actually being completed. We'll be having presentations done at the February board meeting. To our superintendent's point, at the Thursday board meeting, we'll be doing a budget presentation. It won't be on the budget numbers. We're going to do what we might like to call budget 101 presentation to kind of talk to the board and the public to kind of give them an overview of the process. We are still collecting the information in, and certainly can talk about any of the budget questions that anybody might have. But this is kind of to give you an overview of how the budget is put together. And finally, I think it was a week or 2 ago, myself, members of the administrative team, including the superintendent, our buildings and grounds department, our assistant BA, as well as our architect, met with the Department of Transportation virtually to discuss the potential for a bridge, which we had been talking about between the high school and the last building. I don't want to jinx it, but everybody left the meeting feeling very positive about the meeting, that there is some forward momentum with it. The Department of Transportation actually indicated that they were very much interested in additional bridges over that roadway. There's a lot of foot traffic there, so this kind of fits in with that. So we are, like I said, optimistic that we might be able to have something or some sort of approval from them.
Sam, you hear? You might actually get your bridge.
I have a question about that. Realistically speaking, if we're inquiring about, building this bridge for the school and we spend a lot of money for it, does it make sense if we have intentions to at some point build a new high school in the near years?
Well, again, what we're looking at right now is a possibility of whether or not we can do it so that the board has the options. If the intent was to build a new high school, then it probably doesn't make sense necessarily to do a bridge. If the board so chooses or wants us to look into that option, we kind of rallied around some of the numbers with the architect. But we can have them do more of a finite presentation, as well as the cost of a referendum, of what it would cost to the district over the next 25 or so years.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that because I was going to ask about that. Because we previously had the approval since we owned the land, but there were three trees that we went out in arms for, and we had to pay for those 3 trees to be removed that we were going to build. We had a proposal with an architect that we turned down because we did not designate another gym. We needed classrooms. So yes, and to piggyback, if we do finally get the approval for the bridge, I say we also do the expansion, like we were planning to get more classrooms for the high school, because that's what we actually need in the city. Or unless we find land to build a whole brand new high school. And I know that's years away, but this city is growing. The city needs more classrooms. And if we do finally get the approval for the bridge, I would say get the approval for the bridge with the expansion of new classrooms and whatever else we need over there. Because I know that land we ended up fighting for that land during COVID around, if I'm correct. We finally got the approval. We were gonna
they came up with the architect to build on that land, and we turned that down because we didn't like the price tag, and to make that. So I know we own that, so if we get the approval, then I believe we can look at what we can build. That's how we can build and expand.
I'm just thinking about it in terms of like timeline wise, if we're looking at building a high school, it's taking approximately 5 years, but then we spend X, Y, and Z on a bridge. I'm just concerned about the cost that will be associated.
Yeah, that would defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
Well, but the point is to build a bridge will cost about $12 million. To build a high school will cost about $200 million. Right now, in our reserve, we maybe have about 65 to 75 million. So we have to be able to raise another 130 million.
Which is
Based-
correct. Which is correct, but if we have intentions to do that, it doesn't make sense to take the money that we have, that could be going towards it.
Well, the question is, no, even if we do build a bridge, if we do build a new high school, what are we going to do with the building that's there? We still have these two buildings, so the question is, what are we going to do with them? Are we not going to use them? If we're still going to use them, we will need a bridge. And because of the fact that the state is involved in it, we might be able to get some grants for it as well. Is that possible?
Well, there's a possibility of debt service aid if we could go with a referendum. The broad grants, in previous years, there was a lot of money available for construction type projects. I know, like I said, this could be something that we could certainly have the architect kind of come in to talk to the Board of Education. And to your point, I'm just trying to, I want the board to have all the information. If the bridge was never going to be an option, then I want to make sure that the board do that, so that as we discuss other options. And again, we can discuss it. We can also, it would be great if we could save up for the $200 million. That's a big ask. And over a couple of years, that's why we just sort of talk about doing the referendum, especially since the state aid isn't going to be increasing like it has been over the last couple of years. We can also have, we would reach out and have bond counsel come in and do a presentation to discuss really the financial impact of if hypothetically, we wanted to do the construction of a new building, what the cost would be, what that would look like in terms of, impacts over the next couple of years. Because like I said, the other concern I have in speaking with the architects is debt service is usually tied into unhoused students, which is defined as, they calculate your square footage and then they calculate the number of students that they can house. And sometimes they tend not to like it if you're building a new building and you have one. So that, again, that's just one of my, the concerns that we have. But again, we could, if we can certainly have this discussion, like I said, with the major players that would be involved in it, like I said, bond counsel, the architect, kind of give you an overview of what it would look like with the like I said, we've talked about $200 or so million, but we kind of have that number kind of tightened up a little bit to figure out exactly what it would cost. Might be more, might be less, because like we've talked about it, we've just talked about where the construction would be, if there's the need for parking decks or anything like that, that's another issue. Because wherever we're going to put this building, all of a sudden there's going to be a big parking issue. And then to Dr. Bergham's point, the question would be, what would we want to do with those other properties? You could, I don't know if there's even a possibility you wanted to look at selling, not that I'm advocating that, but it is on a major highway, major road. So those are all kind of things that are up in the air that we can certainly look at discussing over at the board meeting.
I know that one of the reasons why we were really looking into building a new high school is because of the same problem we have, the commute from one side of the street to the next. And we have been trying to build a bridge forever, and it was like never a possibility. So the next option was building a high school. One of the things I know we are all responsible for as board members is to do everything in our power to keep taxes down. So if we have to build a new, if we could get a bridge and we could possibly expand on the high school and get all the space that we need, definitely we have enough money to do that. If we have to build another high school, we have to find a way to raise $143 million because we have about 65 to 75 million in reserves. So there's only two ways to raise it: do bonds or raise property taxes. So we have to really sit down and look at our options globally. We also have to remember that a month ago we did a feasibility study. And based on the feasibility study, it also showed that our student enrollment is not growing. We thought that it would be growing a lot, but the feasibility study showed that we leveled out or even on the decline. So I think, oh, I would love to have, I love new buildings, and I would love to have us to have a new building, but we really have to look at this globally to see whether or not which works best for students, parents, and taxpayers. And I'm sure that I'm not going to be around with that decision made, but most of us may not be. But I think it's we need to really start a conversation to see whether or not we look at our options.
No, yeah, just to clarify, the intent behind my statement was a fiscally responsible one. We just want to make sure that if we decide to build a bridge, we don't turn around a few years later down the road and say that we want to build a new high school. This is something that we're doing. Like, I agree, I think we need to weigh all our options before we just commit to one thing.
Yeah.
That was just the intent behind my question.
Yeah, but that was a good question, though, because we were talking about building a high school because we didn't think we had other options. So we're talking, but now we have other options, so we have to look at everything.
Any other questions for the finance report?
Yes. So on number 31, on page 45, what was the additional work that they did for the school?
There was additional lights, strobe lights. I can give you more of the specifics on it, but you know, when they were going through the building, I mean, if you could see like the lights over here on the wall, you know, there might have added an additional light, you know, over, you know, if you see it in the back over there, for the strobe lights for in the instances of, you know, lines of sight to make sure that everybody can see when the lights are going off in the event of a lockdown or something along those lines. But I can get the board the actual.
Any other questions?
Yes, it's way on page 44.
The district's employing a visitor management system whereby anyone coming into the school is going to be basically checking in electronically, you know, providing their ID to record the information in on who's coming into the school. A visitor pass will be printed out. We'll have all that information recorded. Part of the visitor management system does do a background check in regards to name change. This is just basically a computer to sort of hook up to that system so that that information can be viewed by the person at the desk.
I remember, wasn't this one of these on the agenda last time?
The system was, not the computers.
So now, that's the computers, now this, the system was the last one?
Yes.
Now it's the computers.
Yes.
So, how come, or was it together, or was that been too much?
I think it was, I think we were looking at if we had laptops that we could utilize in the district, that would work with them. We weren't able to find ones that could. But you're right, probably should have been all together.
I should have been together, so therefore there's no computers here and
Yeah, that would work with
they
that.
work with it.
Most of our computers, all of our laptops are Mac, and these are Dells. So the Dell system is what's compatible with the visitors management system.
I have a question number 17 for the bullseye ad. Who's creating the ad and who's trafficking that ad to the media outlet?
Well, I believe we have some accounting hired, right? This would be most likely come out of the new position that's being hired. I don't want to say too much.
We're in the process of hiring a publicist this would be part of the responsibility of the publicist.
And the cost would be $5,500 probably. Are we placing everyone? I know it's throughout the school year starting in February, so are we advertising throughout the rest of the month? Are we taking off in the summertime?
Well, right now it's just February through June. We can't really extend beyond that because this is 23, 24 money. We would certainly, if the board's happy with the content, if everyone is happy with what's going on. This is almost like a kind of trial run, so to speak. Not that it's really the intent of it, it's just this is where we're awarding it. But if the board decided that that's what was something that they wanted to continue with, we would look to renew it as of July 1st through the 24-25 school year.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on the finance report?
Yes, one more. 21. Is this tile carpeting or is this full carpeting? Tile, perfect, thank you.
I have one last question. In this financial report, we are spending, if you guys add the numbers, it's over $8 million that we are spending right now in construction, right? Where we're doing ventilations and we slating money for roofing and stuff like that. All this money is coming up from grants, right?
Well, some of it is. The roof bid, 40% of it is coming from grants. The rest was part of the 23-24 budget, part of the capital. The unit network is coming out of the ESSER 3 grant. So that is coming out of the grant, as well as the amendment for school number 4. The unit events there will also be paid for out of the ESSER 3 grant.
All right, so out of the 8 million, 3 million of it is going to roofs. So for the 3 million that's going to roof, 40% of it is coming from the grant from the school, and the rest is coming from the school district. And for the ventilation, 100% of it is coming from the ESSER grant. Is that what you just said? Is that what I
Yes.
received?
Yeah, but and again, I apologize because it is a little bit confusing. For 14 and 15, the total cost was the estimated cost. That was, the architect obviously goes high with the numbers to make sure that we have enough money, that we're getting the state share. It's high. We're not, like I said, the cost here is showing it as $3 million, as you can see on, that was their estimate on what the cost could be. Obviously, on resolution 29, the cost is coming in significantly less at 1.7 million. So that, the 1.7 million is going to be the actual number, not the figures here. But we have to match this up because this is what the state gave us as the state share cost up to that amount. Does that make sense?
Are there any other questions on the finance report? Moving on to the buildings, grounds, and security report.
Okay, on the Thursday night, the Building, Grounds, and Security Committee, on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools and the business administrator, will be presenting the following motions. There's going to be an amendment for the ESL parent classes and the intermediate ESL classes. The parent classes are going to read February 6th through the 31st, rather than January 2nd through April 30th. And the intermediate classes are going to be on Thursdays instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays. Resolution 2 is for school number 1, mostly PTA type events, or family game night. Resolution 3 is for school number 4. Then we have 5 is for school number 6. Mostly again PTA as well as friendship dance and both bingo. Resolution 6 is for the 5th grade parent informational meeting at school number 9. Resolution 7 is for an outdoor day camp to be run by the Department of Parks and Recreation of the City of Linden, being run July through August 16th. Resolution 8 is a request for use of facilities for the defensive training exercises as well as active shooting training exercises by the Linden Police Department. And resolution 9 is and we haven't got the date yet as to determine whether it's January 30th or January 31st. But there's potential for the NFL Super Bowl pregame PSA filming to be done at Tiger Stadium, which we tried to charge them a Super Bowl ticket, but they wouldn't pay it. And finally, resolution 10 is make the road New Jersey looking to use the high school auditorium for a community forum as of February 17th. And that's the end of my report.
Any questions from the board?
What would be the service charge on 10?
That's for the custodian building of the building. The February 17th is on a Saturday.
And when, number 7, when are we going to start accepting? When are we going to open up for people to start applying, for parents to start applying for this program?
But this is the summer day camp that's run through the.
Yeah, but do people have to apply first or register first? It's through the city? All right.
Any other questions? Moving on to planning and policy report.
The Planning and Policy Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and Assistant Superintendent, presents the following motion to the Linden Board of Education for approval. First reading for the following policies. Policy 1250, visitors. 3163, advertising on school property. 3542, school food service program. 3542.4, breakfast offer versus services, OBS. 3542.5, lunch offer versus service, OVS. And to expand upon each policy, the visitors policy aligns to what Mr. Serapilio spoke to earlier in regards to the laptops for the visitors management system. This policy now includes that we are going to be utilizing the visitors management system as a way to check in our visitors. Also in this policy, it states that the management system allows for us as a school to see if the visitor is aligned to the Megan's Law, and if so, there's protocol in place for school officials to address that. The second policy, advertising on school property, is a new policy, and this is for the board to go into an agreement with offering for bids to have others come in and enter into a contract to publicize through our website or marquees and other platforms. And so within this contract, the signage will have parameters. It may also go on our athletic field, any other forms of print and media, and that is the first reading for the advertising on school property. The third policy on school food service program, there were updates to families in financial need, parents are responsible for unpaid meals by students. However, they will not be charged if the balance is accrued. Also within the policy, there was some removal of notifying parents after 10 days if they had a balance. Also, while the charges will accrue for students who are purchasing lunch, it will not stop students from attending events. If we, in the past, trying to collect those funds or limiting students from receiving transcripts or transfer cards until a balance is paid, all of that is removed from the policy. The breakfast offer versus serve, as well as the lunch offer versus serve, is in regards to for each meal, students now have the option to the selected amount of items they would like to choose. A student for breakfast will, from the 4 food groups, they would have to take at least 2 items, whereas in the past, on the line, it wasn't optional. Now they have the option to choose out of those 4 food groups, and then for lunch, they have the option to choose out of the 5 food groups. Also, students now have the option for unlimited fruits and vegetables. And so those are those policies. The second policy, number 2, is to delete the policy listed below, 3542.2, school meal program arrears. And again, this is that policy from the state indicates that as a district that we cannot go after trying to elicit funds for balances that are accrued. And so that policy is being eliminated. And those are the policies for planning policies.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Did this come out with the recent changes that the governor did on the school meal programs for state and New
Yes.
Which ones?
Basically all of them, because it's all saying about the school's food service and now the arrears, because I know he added more money out there for more students to get free lunches in school.
Yeah, the arrears is directly related to what the governor has done. Like I said, the policy that, we'd actually changed the policy previously to align with it, but in reviewing the policies, because we were getting a state audit this year for our food service program, we actually saw that this policy was still on the books in regards to the collections, which we really aren't allowed to do.
I also have another question that, since it's coming into this portion, Donna Hernandez on a report meeting said she had a meeting with somebody in the lunch. I don't know if it's Montonian or somebody. Why didn't the board get a notice to be part of that meeting when I've been bringing up issues about that lunches? And a parent got, it's nice that a parent got it. I'm not saying no, but the board, we're raising the concerns and the board did not get a communication for us to go up there and meet with them.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing that they do in the elementary schools. I had the opportunity last year to visit school 8, and they had a student body, they had a committee with teachers, students, myself as a board member, and the students gave me feedback on the food things they like to do and like things they'd like to see more of. So I'm wondering if that's probably.
It came out of school 6 also because I was part of that meeting, but we didn't have any more communication after that one meeting. So for Donna to give us an update this January in our reorg meeting, and we didn't get anything, I think that's concerning.
Is there any way that we can get some communication from Montonian or from the schools on which ones are having meetings?
Yes, we'll set that up.
Thank you.
Yes.
going to the screening session?
Well, the IDs are going to go through the machine, and I can't say if it's going to be a red light or a green light, but it will indicate that further information will be required for that individual to proceed forward, or they will be given a printout pass for them to proceed forward as a visitor.
And what if the person doesn't have ID and it's just on there?
Well, that's currently our policy today. If you don't have ID, you can't get into the school.
Any other questions on family policy? I know we're going to get ready to head into executive session, but I'd like to open up the floor to comments from the public, so that we won't have anyone waiting here. So we'll do that now. Members of the public desiring to make a public comment may come forward at this time. For those watching online, if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature on the online meeting platform. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address. Individuals are invited to speak on one topic at a time, and no individual will speak more than once until all individuals so desire have spoken once. The public is reminded that to ensure the efficient and orderly operations of the meeting, members of the public will be limited to speaking on items for 3 minutes. And if you're coming up to the podium, please list your name and address.
Craig Heller, 120 Donaldson Place. I had received some information that a Linden High School student pulled a fire alarm which allowed unauthorized people to enter the building, and did the school resource officers and security personnel respond as per protocols. And the student who pulled the alarm, I assume, will be disciplined to the extent of the board policies, but I do believe that, you know, it may be a criminal offense to pull a fire alarm for the lack of no fire. I don't necessarily need comments today. I can get them on Thursday if that's, you know, what the board decides they need to do. Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to address your comment this evening. So the statement that a student pulled the fire alarm is inaccurate. A student did not pull the fire alarm. The fire alarm, it was rushed by accident, and then when personnel was attempting to try and close it, the fire alarm went off. So that is not,
Okay, no,
so we followed the procedures.
that's why I brought it up, to get
Thank
the
you.
information. Okay, and I'm glad to see that we're finally looking into the cost of a new building. I understood, my hearing is bad, but I did pick up a figure of 142 million, possibly for a new high school. Was that an accurate amount?
No, the total amount would at least be 200 million. What we were talking about was the possibility of using reserves to offset some of those costs.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just need to sign on here, and thank you, and I do wish everybody a happy and healthy new year.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public? Anyone online? Would you like to talk about any new and unfinished business?
I was asking for a calendar, and we need a calendar because we have things that's overlapping. Like tonight, with the kids here, and I'm here, you know, tonight,
because I know, from what I was told from some students, that the policy currently, and I know you did correct that, but I did have some, report cards that were shown to me that showed administrative failures. From my understanding is that if you're over 15 minutes late to a class, for a certain amount of times, you receive administrative failure for that class, but you're still expected to do the schoolwork and be in attendance at that class for the duration of the period. I just want more information about what the exact policy is, and if any other students have received administrative failures, because I know you guys mentioned that there weren't any administrative failures, but I personally know students that have received administrative failures, which I do agree that we should be instilling with our students some type of responsibility for them not to be tardy to class. I do agree with that. You know, when you go to work and you step onto the road, you should not be tardy. But I do not think that administrative failures are the proper disciplinary actions, and I think that can hinder a lot of them when they're trying to apply for college. Some of them are seniors, some of them are juniors. It can be very detrimental if the reason why they're not getting admitted or accepted to the school is because of an administrative failure, when, like I said, they're still being expected to do their work. So I just want a little bit more clarification on the policy, how the teachers are aware of the policy, vice principals are aware of the policy, how it's being enforced, and if any other students, if we can just really do a thorough deep dive to see if any other students have received administrative failures, so that we can kind of do some type of course correction and put them on a track to make them more, to educate them on the importance of being on time, instead of, having something that's, preventing them from getting to school or affecting their grades.
Yes, so in the board policy, it does have a tardiness timeline to it, and it's not after the first time, it's an accumulation of times. If a student is absent from a class for 10 minutes, then they are considered late and absent. So an administrative failure means that at the end of the marking period, or at the end of the year, or at the end of the term, some students are in a 2 marking period term, or at the end of the year of a class. The administrator, the vice principal, will conduct a meeting with that student to communicate the administrative failure that's on the report card. At that time, they go through a remediation process. So the work is still, if the student is showing, here's the work, and these are other artifacts that shows that while I did still miss that class, then, or for whatever reason it may be, the administrator then removes the administrative failure and the grade is put on there. So historically, we have not, by the time students are graduating, they don't have administrative failures. Throughout the process, it may be on their report card because they did not meet with the administrator to work through a remediation program. So that will happen, so it speaks to your statement that it doesn't affect their post-high school experience.
So my only concern with that is if it's changed at the end of the year, but they're applying for schools, in the middle of the year, and they still have that mark on it, like how does that work in terms of the GPA?
Well, so let me clarify that, and thank you for bringing that up. It would be in that moment. Once that, a student will have to meet with their administrator about the administrative failure before they proceed on with the next process. It does not just stay on their report card. So it would be about the student, even if I didn't reach you, I'm going to reach out to you as the administrator and say, come on, we need to talk, what is going on? Why do you have this on your report card? What can be done differently? So in the outcome, as to date, has been that those administrative failures are removed and has not impacted students for the next phase of education, of what that may look like.
The administrators are contacted.
Yes, because they have to, because they're the ones who would discuss the failure, it just doesn't say on there.
Any other new or unfinished business? All right, at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session?
Roll call.
Ms. Carrillo?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera Quesada?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
Yes.
And Dr. Burke?